Welcome to 2026 predictions. What are the major trends that are coming for 2026? Our team runs an emerging market technology fund, so we're going to hit on technology heavy, but I'm going to hit on a few different areas and just give you kind of an overview of some of the things that we can expect in 2026. Now, as you can see, I'm a little casual because I'm out on vacation, but came in because this topic I'm kind of engrossed in. And I wanted to share some ideas as to what is going to happen in 2026. How are things going to change? And I think for some, things are changing more rapidly than they would like, but the future really is here and it's arriving fast in 2026. So let's jump into a few areas. We're going to discuss AI, robotics, some things in the healthcare area, even a little bit on the markets. So let's jump into our first topic. So robotics. So everybody is talking about AI, but robotics is an area that is truly going to change our lives faster than we know it. Now, there's a couple areas that robotics are going to develop and really take hold in 2026. So the first one is robotics in manufacturing, production is going to go next level because they're combining what artificial intelligence can do with robotics. Now, we already see this heavily in areas like the auto space, auto industry. We see it even, we had a big strike in 2025 at one of the ports because basically robotics could replace more efficiently all of those dock workers or many of them. So robotics is going to have two things. One, in the manufacturing area, it's going to go next level, which unfortunately is going to cause even more layoffs for those types of jobs. It's going to cause increased productivity for those types of companies, but initially it will be a big investment for them. Now, when we talk about robotics in manufacturing, the prediction is that these companies are going to grow at a much faster pace, and we're going to become more competitive globally by having robotics more involved because we trail in many ways from some of the major global economic competitors. One of the key things that you're going to start seeing is humanoid robotics. So this is sort of prediction number 2, but it crosses over to a couple of different spaces. So humanoid robotics are starting to make their way into both the business world, but you're going to start seeing them in homes also. And I've talked to a few people over the holidays and they're like, not going to happen, not in our house. There's a lot of resistance, but the dexterity of the human hands, they anticipate a 5x improvement each year over the next handful of years. And the dexterity is going to make the robots become more and more productive. And you're going to start seeing these robots that are at such a high expense level now, if you want to be testing one in your home and they can't do quite as much as they're going to be able to do, the price point is going to drop. So some experts that we've been researching predict that it's going to reach as low as about $20,000, which for many people, they're going to say, I'm not spending $20,000 on a robot. But you spend that on your car all the time. I think when we get out maybe 10 years from now, it's going to be as common as your car, and maybe your car isn't so common because of all the autonomous vehicles that are going to be out there. So the humanoid robotics are going to allow eventually to have a robot that is helping doing a variety of things in the house, from cleaning. I can't imagine cooking, but that's predicted to be here before we know it. And then things outside. So mowing the lawn, trimming things. All of this is being worked on, and you're going to see a giant leap ahead in 2026. Maybe not in your home, maybe not in my home, but it's coming, and it is going to be started for those early adopters in 2026. So that's a big improvement in over the next 5 years. When you look back 5 years from now, we're hardly going to recognize the world as we know it today when it comes to robotics. They are going to be so much more integrated. Now, this is also scary. So I grew up with the Terminator movies, and many of you, I'm sure, did too. Well, Terminator, the ability of a Terminator is becoming a reality. So we know some individuals that have left human robotics companies because those companies are creating military grade type humanoid robotics. So that trend is scary, and the key is going to be how is AI and robotics, how they coordinate, and how are they controlled. And there's two main ways that they're doing it broadly. One is they try to create AI that is sympathetic to humans. In other words, it's designed to protect humans, designed to want to see humans succeed and flourish. And then the second big area is true kill switches, for lack of a better phrase. Meaning, how do you create this so that we are still in control of the AI and the robotics and we can override anything that's happening? Because the whole idea of the Terminator series is they take over and they decide we are not needed. So this is exciting, these developments, and scary at the same time. So hopefully there's responsible development, but you're going to see giant leaps forward in 2026. AI is the second area. And I did this second on purpose because everybody's talking about AI, so I didn't want to list it first. But AI is truly taking hold in 2026. So the office scenario, you're going to have co-pilots, meaning you're going to have what we call AI agents. And there are about 5 different levels of AI agents. So you can have an AI agent that is just doing kind of a repetitive, boring task. Now those are easy. It's kind of a, if this happens, then do that. Then you're going to have some that are more goal oriented, where they will actually be able to learn from goals and make things better and better and help you work toward your goal. And then go all the way to the end of the spectrum, and you have the learning AI bots. So reinforced human input is taken into these AI bots, and they will get smarter and smarter at different tasks. Well, in 2026, you're going to see this as an absolute in many offices in order to stay competitive and to stay, from a quality of work, stay cutting edge, so to speak. So I think for many businesses like ours, as a financial and tax and estate planning firm, we will use it internally, but more behind the scenes, because ultimately we're a people business, and ultimately we want to make sure that it's the right strategies for the right clients and at the right time. But you're going to see that helping the productivity and the quality of the experience for all clients are going to go up. And then as this goes up, eventually you're going to see costs coming down for different things, because you're going to be able to do things so much faster. So AI is taking hold through corporate America in a huge way, and it's just beginning. So some of the big Fortune 500 companies are going to be able to do so much more, again, with so fewer people. So again, this is one of these things that we might have a separation of Wall Street and Main Street, because Main Street, there's going to be less and less jobs because of AI. Wall Street is going to be becoming more and more profitable. So we actually had a meeting. We're doing a lot of planning for 2026. And part of what I told my team just here is AI is not going to replace any of you. So I'm very loyal to my employees. They're my team members. They make us able to do what we can do. And we're not replacing any of them. I don't care if we get so profitable that we all need to only work 3 days a week. That would be wonderful. But we're not replacing anybody, and that's just a business choice we are committed to. Now, unless somebody, of course, isn't doing their job or they're not good at what they're doing, that's different. But ultimately, AI, I think, will just make our quality of lives get better and better. That's our hope here for 2026, is deliver more to our clients, a better experience, more in-depth planning in areas like proactive tax planning, estate planning that is truly family-centered, and then what we call defined outcome investing. So we're going to get better and better at it, even in our small practice. But in corporate America, you're going to see a lot of layoffs. So my prediction here is in 2 areas. One, I think profits and productivity. I think there's going to be an excitement that even though this market is due for a pullback, it could propel this forward. So we'll see if we have a little pullback or not, or if AI and robotics and these trends overcome things. But when you have layoffs, that's bad for the economy. Less money to spend. But when you have a lot more that can be done with fewer people, productivity goes up because labor is such a big part of expenses for most companies. So you're going to see a little dichotomy this year, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, exciting and scary at the same time, because we all need jobs that fulfills purpose for people. And some of these lower middle market and middle managers and things of that nature are going to have more and more stress on them. By the end of 2026, the prediction will be you will have AI agents that are like you're talking to me, meaning you will be talking to somebody or watching a Zoom and you don't even know if it's them. Again, scary and exciting because productivity can go up so much. So AI, huge. Now, the next one is a little bit different, and this is dealing with blockchain. So blockchain is another emerging technology that people think of cryptocurrencies when they think of blockchain. Well, cryptocurrencies will probably have a role, it's looking like. So long term, we are still bullish there. A very volatile market, of course. But blockchain itself is the distributed ledger technology. In 2026, you're going to see this taking hold far more than you've ever seen before. That's our prediction. And what I mean by that is institutional adoption is really beginning to happen, both in the form of investments that you can just buy very easily, as well as in the form of how they're using the technology. And the trends are things like real estate. So I'm sitting in this big commercial building. You or I, before long, are going to be able to simply buy $10,000 worth of this building and get the cash flow. And it'll be liquid where I can sell it in the open market before long very quickly, instead of being tied up and held captive in investment in real estate that perhaps I want to get out of, but the manager doesn't. That trend is going to accelerate into 2026, and you're going to start seeing more and more products come out that are using the blockchain technology, because traditional institutions are now starting to really embrace it. So that's another prediction for 2026. Now, from a protection standpoint of your portfolio, so many of you know we do what we call defined outcome investing, which combines downside protection with your traditional naked in the market type strategies. So by combining the two, and using some of the technology we're already using to backtest these strategies, we're going to be able to identify the sweet spot, meaning just how much should you have in each strategy, and perhaps in what market conditions. So the quality of the investment experience and returns ultimately that we deliver, we think will be going up in 2026 also. So next area, we're going to switch gears a little bit out of technology, and we're going to go into healthcare. So healthcare is just exploding with capabilities that are driven by both AI and robotics. So on the robotics front, you're already getting to where you're going to have a surgeon that is in Florida doing a surgery in Sacramento, California, because they are a specialist and they're controlling robotics. So this trend is going to very much accelerate into 2026, and ultimately it's going to bring healthcare prices down. So you're already seeing some of the transparency with the drug companies, where they're going to be forced to make the same pricing models more in the United States that other countries are paying, because we've been overpaying for years and years. That's going to start improving, and that's already happening as we're ending 2025. But you're also going to see with AI the solving of more and more problems in the healthcare space. So there's something called folding of proteins, which I don't want to pretend like I know exactly what that means. But this is something where they solve different proteins and how they're built, which allows you to solve medical problems. AI has already proven far faster, far more effective than humans, and the AI is already beating humans, and they're solving this. And a group, I think it was DeepSeek, and I could be wrong there, but I think that was the company that they put them all out there for the world to benefit from knowing exactly how these proteins are mapped, and therefore they have more tools to be able to fight everything from cancer to heart disease to everything else. So in the medical, you're going to start seeing AI agents, so AI assistants for the physicians. So they're not going to replace your physician. That is not the prediction at all. They're going to make your physician so much more powerful, so much more knowledgeable. If you have 4 physicians examining you, they're not going to miss as much as 1. That's what this is going to allow them to do, and it's already happening. It's also going to allow them to more effectively and efficiently serve each patient and to get the work done that they don't like to do. Like doctors will spend hours and hours doing notes. The technology is already there to make that much more rapid so they can actually work on making you and I healthy, which is really what they went to school for. I don't think any of them love that paperwork, and now it's going to be less and less. The other thing that's going to happen is longevity in the healthcare space. So there are physicians and medical professional scientists that are working on solving longevity. Now, can we ever imagine that they're going to solve longevity? Probably not completely, or at least it's hard for me to imagine that. But they have identified, I think there's 4 different factors that if they can manipulate a cell, they can make a skin cell young again. That's already happening, and they're doing human trials in 2026. So you're going to start seeing some more effective longevity type products that are with AI, and with these technologies, they're going to become more and more available. And the prediction in 2026 is the level of medical treatments and evaluations you can do from your own home are going to skyrocket. So with the technologies, you don't necessarily have to go into an emergency room full of sick people that if you weren't sick before, you're going to be by the time you leave. They'll be able to do some of these things, more of a triage, perhaps with home kits. So that's another big prediction there. Let me look at my list and see what I missed. The only other thing I would say is the narrative. So the stock market is very overextended by historical standards. The stock market is at some of the warning signs are at their highest level since they were prior to the dot-com bubble bursting, but they're nowhere near as high as that got. So we struggle here a lot of, is there going to be a market crash in 2026? Is there not? Well, your system should be set up so it doesn't matter. And our systems are set up where if a market crash occurs, part of the portfolio is going to get hurt. The other part is with defined outcome is going to have protections and going to be able to buy the dip. That's the goal. So I think predicting the market is fun, but investing by prediction is dangerous. You need to have a system that works, and that's what defined outcome does. So my prediction looking at the markets going forward is I think there's going to be almost a fervor, a level of excitement that's going to accelerate as to how much productivity AI is going to bring to the world. And I mean the corporate world in particular. That fervor, meaning that excitement, has the potential to drive this market even higher, in our opinion. I do think if there's a pullback, it's going to be short-lived. I do think it will be an opportunity. But whether or not we really get that pullback on a broader basis is hard to tell. What we're working on here is what areas are not yet on fire that are going to benefit greatly from AI. And I think that's where a lot of the opportunities lie. Everybody knows about AI stocks. Everybody knows about NVIDIA. Everybody knows about these companies that are front and center stage on the nightly business news. They don't talk as much about the boring companies that are going to be completely transformed through the power of AI. So that's where I think some of the investment opportunities lie. So ultimately, it's going to be an exciting 2026, maybe a little bit scary at times because I do think there's going to be pressure on the job markets. Now, the key is how many jobs are going to be created by these markets. So when you have new technologies like this, yes, some old school jobs get destroyed, but other newer ones come about. The challenge is skill is going to be at a premium. So those people who are highly skilled laborers are going to be at a premium. Those that are more replaceable are going to be at risk. And then you've got the trades. So there's a lot of chatter on trades. Like, we're still going to need our plumbers. We're still going to need our roofers. We're still going to need a lot of these traditional trades are probably some of the safest jobs in the short term. Will they be affected ultimately? Absolutely. But in the short run, I think they're going to thrive. So hope this was entertaining. Hopefully it was helpful, and hopefully you're enjoying your holidays. If you're listening to it after the holidays, we're early into 2026. I think we're all going to see these roll out, and we'll check back a year from now and see if these predictions came true. I'm sure they will be true to varying degrees, and they will have their challenges. So thank you for joining me at We Money Talk. Have an amazing holiday, and 2026, make it a great year. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to We Money Talk with Terry Wheeler. Be sure to click the follow button to be notified as new episodes become available.